सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी निति नामिने प्रभुपादस्य साहित्यम् यः प्रकाश वितीर्य च प्रचारं कृतवान् साधु भगवत्पादाय ते नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशपाल। Hare Krishna. So tomorrow is a very, very special day, a day of the appearance day, the Vyasa Puja of our spiritual master, His Holiness Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. For a disciple, for a follower, there is no other day which is as glorious as the appearance day of the spiritual master. Because the spiritual master appears to remove the blindness of his disciple and to enlighten him to take to the path of perfection. Can you see the screen? Is the screen visible?
Yes, Prabhuji, visible.
Visible? And in our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada's word, how we should embrace the occasion, Srila Prabhupada says, adore ye all the happy day, blessed than heaven, sweeter than May. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is writing for his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that this is the happy day. The appearance day of the spiritual master is the most happy day. Why? O my master, the evangelic angel, give us thy light, lift up thy candle. Struggle for existence, a human race. The only hope is divine grace. Misled we are, all going astray. Save us, Lord, our fervent prayer. Wonder thy ways to turn our face, adore thy feet, your divine grace. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen souls, paying most heavy the illusion's toll. Darkness around, all untraced, the only hope is divine grace. So we see that all the spiritual scriptures, they emphasize so much on taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. This is from the 11th canto, 3rd chapter, which says the liberation from the illusionary image. How one can be freed from the influence of Maya Shakti. Very beautiful verse. Here, Lord Shri Krishna is directly giving this recommendation to Uddhavji. He says, Tatra Bhagavatan Dharman Sikshet Guru Atmadevata Amayaya Anuvritya Yatushyad Atmanado Hari. Accepting the bona fide spiritual master as one's life and soul. Guru Atma, accepting the spiritual masters as one's life and soul. And worshipable deity, Devata. Guru is Atma also, and Guru is Devata also. He is our life and soul, and he is the worshipable personality. The disciple should learn from him the process of pure devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, the soul of all soul, is inclined to give himself to his pure devotees. Therefore, the disciple should learn from the spiritual master to serve the Lord without duplicity, and in such a faithful and favorable way that the Supreme Lord, being satisfied, will offer himself to the faithful disciple. This is what the acharyas are, or the spiritual masters are. That they serve their spiritual master in such a faithful and favorable way that the Supreme Lord, being satisfied, offers himself to them. I'm picking up from the purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all pleasures. And thus the Lord giving himself to a pure devotee indicates that such a devotee becomes immersed in the highest possible ecstasy. In this connection, there is the following Shruti mantra, Anandadhimani Bhutani Jayante. Indeed, it is from the All Blissful Supreme that all these creatures have come into being. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has further pointed out that when the Lord bestows his own self upon a pure devotee, such a fortunate devotee can actually see the Lord, touch him, and directly engage in the service. So this we see in the life of our spiritual master, Srila Gopal Goswami Maharaj, who is actually seeing the Lord, touching him, and directly engaging in his service. One should see the spiritual master as being always under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. One should never try to engage the spiritual master in one's personal service with the mentality of lording it over spiritual master and attaining through him some material goods. One who is actually advancing will become more and more eager to serve the spiritual master, and thus the disciple experiences the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of God. Srila Rupa Goswami has delineated 4 preliminary requisites for advancement for a sincere disciple. Guru Pada Shrayastasmat Krishna Dikshadi Dikshanam Vishrambhena Guru Seva Sadhu Vartmanuvartanam. What are the 4 aspects? Accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master, Guru Padashraya. Then becoming initiated by the spiritual master, Diksha. And then Sikshanam, learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Obeying the order of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. This is Vishrambhena Guru Seva. How one has to execute the order Vishrambhena with gravity and following in the footsteps of Sadhu Vartmanu Vartana, the great saintly personalities or the acharyas. So one who has executed this preliminary duty is qualified to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, those who have achieved a mature understanding of the transcendental sound vibration of Srimad Bhagavatam may adopt the order of Tridandi Sannyas. Okay. A bona fide Vaishnava should work honestly to free himself from any tinge of sense gratification and mental speculation. And with a loving heart, he should carry out the order of his bona fide spiritual master. By always remembering the exalted position of a bona fide spiritual master, the disciple will achieve shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Very important. Hare Krishna. So we see the life of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, a life of full surrender, full dedication, devotion, and constant endeavor and struggle to follow the instruction of his spiritual master, his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. Once long back, one of the disciples inquired from Srila Prabhupada, Master, so many verses are there in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada asked in return to his disciple that you tell us that what do you think is the foremost qualification of a spiritual master? So they quoted from Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidhi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata. And also from Srimad Bhagavatam, but Prabhupada did not accept him. Prabhupada said that the foremost qualification of a spiritual master is that he fully follows his spiritual master. And that I have so closely and personally, in my experience, in my Guru Maharaj, so absorbed in following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. One minute. हाँ प्रभु
निकलवा रहा हूँ तो साधु को मना कर रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं कि नहीं कल के बाद निकलेगा।
अरे गंदा हो गया है वो, फट गए हैं उसमें से।
मैंने उनको वो आप बोलो उनको,
मैंने दूसरे बनवा दिए हैं यार, दूसरे लगाऊंगा।
आप क्योंकि मैं तो निकलवा दूंगा, 2 मिनट लगेगा।
एक मिनट रुको।
The number you have dialed is currently busy. Please try later. आपके द्वारा डायल किया गया नंबर अभी व्यस्त है। कृपया कुछ समय पश्चात प्रयास करें।
प्रभु उनका नंबर बिजी आ रहा है। संकल्प प्रभु, नंबर बिजी आ रहा है और मैं क्लास ले रहा हूँ यार। अरे वो खराब हो गया, वो निकाल दो आप, वो निकाल दो, मैं दूसरा फ्रेश लगा रहा हूँ। थैंक यू सर।
Prabhuji, you are muted.
We see from the life of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj that when he first met, we all know the famous meeting of Srila Prabhupada with his spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur. And also we see the meeting of Srila Prabhupada with Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So when in Montreal for the first time, Guru Maharaj met. So how he received his spiritual master, that I will read from Guru Maharaj's memories. So Guru Maharaj says the Canadian connection. First, Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj first met Prabhupada in Canada. So Maharaj is saying that I first came to ISKCON temple on Labor Day, 1967. What is the Labor Day? Anyone knows? You don't know Labor Day? Yes, Pradeep?
May 1st February.
Huh?
May 1st February.
Yes, May 1st. 1st May. So that is 1st May 1967 in Montreal. And I was studying in Toronto and I had come for the weekend to visit Expo. So Maharaj was not at that time staying in Montreal. He was in Toronto. And I casually asked one of my friends, is there any Hindu temple in Montreal? Maharaj from his very childhood has been very, very extraordinary. He had such inclination to come to the temples. He said, yes, the Americans have opened some temple here. Why don't you visit it? So I went to the Montreal temple on Labor Day weekend, 1967. And I took part in the Sunday program. That is the first instance of Maharaj coming. The kirtan just went on and on and on and on. And as I was leaving the temple, they had a visitor's book in which I wrote down my name and address. And after returning to Toronto, I started getting a letter every month informing me about the schedule and asking for donations. This is when? 1967. When if one person comes, how to cultivate? And on 1st May 1968, so this is almost 1 year, I received a letter. Our Swamiji is coming to Montreal on June 1st, 1968. So Maharaj came first to ISKCON on May 1, 1967. Where he came? He came from Toronto to Montreal. So just remember this. Yeah. His first, he was not a resident of Montreal. He came from Toronto as a visitor. And as we read that he mentioned his name and his address details in the visitor's book, and he started to receive letters every month. So he received the invitation to come and meet the founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Our Swamiji is coming to Montreal on June 1st, 1968. Please come and meet him. So I was planning to relocating back to Montreal in any case, and I arrived in Montreal on May 31st. And the first assignment the temple president gave me was to clean Prabhupada's apartment. So Guru Maharaj came. As soon as he heard that Swamiji is coming, this is the calling of the spiritual master. And Sadashishya, one who is the eternal disciple, as we were reading, that Vishrambhena Guru Seva, how one has to perform devotional service with utmost care and absorption. So Maharaj came from Toronto to Montreal, and as he came, he met the president, and the president gave him the service to clean the apartment where Srila Prabhupada would stay. Prabhupada was coming the next day, and Prabhupada resided at 420 Prince Arthur. So I had the privilege of meeting Prabhupada on June 1st, 1968. This is the first day of meeting. June 1st, 1968. And I had almost no exposure to sadhus in India. In fact, There was one Bengali gentleman, Mr. Mukherjee. He used to come to meet Prabhupada regularly. He used to say, "Oh, this sadhu is different." Anyways, time went along. I could see that Prabhupada was a genuine saint. He quoted from the scriptures. He never said something on his own. He was like a real well-wisher, very friendly, and he wanted everyone to be happy. But he knew that the real happiness will only come if you follow the scriptures. So actually, spiritual master is one who himself follows the scriptures and he inspires others to follow and apply scriptures. And Prabhupada was always straightforward in those days. There were not so many devotees. Prabhupada actually stayed in Montreal for 3 months. We see in the life of Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami. See, that is Gopal Bhatt, and here is Gopal Krishna Goswami. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Sri Rangam for 4 months. Why he came to Sri Rangam and stayed for 4 months? Just to train Gopal Bhatta. And here we see Srila Prabhupada came and stayed in Montreal for 3 months. He had some green card problem in America. That was visa problem. So he had to go out of America. So he came to Montreal on June 1st and he stayed on till August 68. And in those days, leaders from different parts of America would regularly come to meet Prabhupada. But leaders from different parts of America means the ISKCON leaders. As I had zero exposure to sadhus, I have never been to Vrindavan in my life. I would never even heard of Vrindavan or Mayapur before I met Prabhupada. With all of us, mostly we never knew what is Mayapur. And I had never heard of Lord Chaitanya. The brief introduction about Prabhupada was given to me by the Bengali gentleman who said, "I have touched the feet of many sadhus, but he looks special." And as I said earlier, Prabhupada also gave me a lot of attention. I was Prabhupada's first Indian disciple of the West. This is another remarkable aspect of Guru Maharaj, that he is the first Indian disciple of Srila Prabhupada in the West. And Prabhupada had a strong desire to also preach to the Indians. He wanted them to take to Krishna consciousness. Actually, there was one Indian who had joined from Buffalo, but he didn't stay for long. In June 68, we had gone to a high school engagement in a Christian school. It was a school for girls, and there were many nuns in the school. And this program was arranged by a French-Canadian devotee called Janardhan Prabhu. He was doing PhD at that time. So Prabhupada gave the lecture, and as usual after Prabhupada's lecture, he would say, "Any question?" The same Mr. Mukherjee who had told me that Prabhupada was a different type of saint got up from his chair and started attacking Prabhupada. He started saying, "Why do you have to come and preach this philosophy in these Christian countries? They have their own philosophies. You don't need to do this." The devotees were very upset in this way. He was being attacked. Srila Prabhupada was not being criticized by the Christians. He was being criticized by one of the people who came in his entourage. So the devotees were very upset, but Prabhupada was very cool. In August, Prabhupada was leaving Montreal to go to America, and he told me, "Gopal, go and call Mr. Mukherjee." I said, "Prabhupada, he insulted you so badly. Why do you want to see him?" And Prabhupada said, "I must have done something to him in my last birth for which he took revenge." So I called the gentleman and Prabhupada blessed him before leaving. So from this, we can see how magnanimous and merciful Prabhupada was. And even though this man had humiliated Prabhupada, he really attacked Prabhupada very badly. Prabhupada tolerated it and he did not utter one word. And in fact, he blessed him before leaving. So I think from this example, we should draw inspiration and not retaliate the moment somebody criticizes us. We have to learn to practice the peaceful nature. This is how Prabhupada personally taught or trained Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami. When Prabhupada was in Montreal, he opened a bank account in the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. And the branch, I believe, was at Sherbrooke Street. And Prabhupada told me to handle that account for him. Since early days, Prabhupada had full trust. Otherwise, who will give any other person the charge to operate his bank account? So I was giving Prabhupada regular reports, and Prabhupada saw the bank was charging a high fee for some reason. And Prabhupada was so concerned about saving every penny of Krishna's money. See Prabhupada's mood and see Maharaj's meditation. So Prabhupada was so concerned about saving every penny of Krishna's money, he said, tell bank not to charge this fees. And Prabhupada said, you can close the bank account when the bank was charging a high fee. As we know from numerous examples, Prabhupada's concern was not to waste even a penny of Krishna's money. He reviewed everything as Krishna's property, and whenever he saw some misuse, he would take steps to stop it. There was one lady who came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, as usual, preached to her, please chant Hare Krishna mantra. The lady said, Swamiji, I am always chanting 24 hours a day. Many times we face this situation. Many people, they reply in this way, why just chant 16? I am 24/7 chant. Prabhupada said, 24 hours, how do you chant? She said, I am mentally chanting 24 hours. So Prabhupada said, when you are hungry, do you mentally eat or do you physically eat? She said physically. Prabhupada said, no, you just start eating mentally. So she realized that Prabhupada told her, if you want to chant the holy name, you chant and hear, not just mentally go on chanting. This is as good as no chanting. So the lady was convinced that what Prabhupada said was right. So Prabhupada emphasized that we chant the holy name and hear the holy name. And as the scripture says, the more attentive you are in chanting, the greater will be the effect, and the faster will be the cleansing of the heart. So we see Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in every lecture, in every talk, in every discourse, he will emphasize two things. What is the first thing? The first thing he will always inspire is to be able to chant attentively with absorption. Be able to hear the mantra. Now, what is the second Guru Maharaj's recommendation in almost every lecture? Yes, Ramya? You are raising your hand?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, to offenses, avoid offenses.
Yes, to avoid offenses also. And Maharaj every time says that we must daily read from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam and Kirtanam. Two things are must. Okay, I have to go for service. I wanted to read more, but little I have just started so that we can bring our consciousness in connection with Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And to the extent we can, in our heart, admire and appreciate the contributions that he has done, particularly in our own life, to make this possibility to practice Krishna consciousness and achieve perfection in my life. So many verses I wanted to share, but some other time. The Gopal Krishna Goswami Avirbhav Diti Mahamotsav की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, उपस्थित सभी भक्तवृंद की जय. Jai Guru. I will leave you. You can continue. You can all discuss. Every one of you share your Vyas Puja offering. Help each other to be able to see the divine transcendental qualities of our spiritual master. And all of you, please share tomorrow in the group your Vyas Puja offerings. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रणाम प्रभु यस प्रभु आवाज आ रहा है प्रभु क्या यस प्रभु आवाज आ रहा है प्रभु क्या यस प्रभु आवाज आ रहा है क्या यस प्रभु प्रणाम प्रभु
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हाँ
थोड़ा
अभी
कम
सुना
आ रहा है, पता नहीं हम लोग का इधर भी कम हो सकता है, बट एनीवे यस प्रभु जी, वी कैन हियर यू.
या व्हाट इज द प्लान प्रभु व्हाट प्रभु जी टोल्ड टू कंटिन्यू और
एज यू विश प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी ने तो कहा था कि आप डिस्कशन करिए करके. इट इज 9:15, बट एज यू विश प्रभु जी.
नो या so will glorify महाराज जी और व्हाट यू से
हाँ, महाराज के लिए बोले हैं प्रभु जी, गुरु महाराज के लिए बोले हैं.
now it is live प्रणाम प्रभु so what should you do
प्रभु जी, वो आई थिंक वी कैन स्टॉप द लाइव सेशन.
okay
YouTube can be stopped.